Hi, hey, and all those other greetings for adventurers. Welcome back to another art video. This is the second art video. The last art video was Lowland Scyther, actually. But today is going to be, oh boy, quite an interesting topic because we have, well, let me just give you a slight origin because you can see the Peach model on there that I'm using as a base. Now, this whole thing, if you don't know, we are making Bowsette. But to understand Bowsette, if you've basically not been watching the Direct or keeping up on Nintendo, you know, if you're just watching this for the art, then cool. But you might not know who Bowsette is. You probably do, though. So this all started when Nintendo released a trailer of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where Toadette can become Princess Peach with an item called the Super Crown. A lot of people question this, which I questioned why people are questioning this logic. I can understand the WTF reaction, but not the actual questioning of it, just because it's Mario. It's a world where a plumber grabs a mushroom to become bigger and gets a flower to throw fire to save a princess from a dragon. You know, that's obviously not something that's that insane. Now, Bowsette kind of goes with this. There was somebody on Twitter, I'll put their name up on the video really quick. They're, I don't really know if you could pronounce this anyway, but it's basically AK92, which is AYYK92. They ended up making a comic, and spoiler for Odyssey really quick, just want to mention that. If you don't know, basically Peach just hardcore middle fingers Mario and Bowser, and they are very sad together. And the comic is basically that Bowser's like, hey, we don't need her, I'll just become her. And then they're on the tennis court, and Peach sees Mario with Bowser now as Bowsette. And for some reason, this just completely exploded on Twitter. Everybody decided they wanted to make a Peachette, well, Bowser version of Peachette. I've heard Peacher, but I like Bowsette, even though technically Toadette isn't really used in this. But as usual, I didn't want to just make it a random thing and be like, oh, hey, I'm just going to make it a general thing. I wanted to make it my own because that's what I like to do, and that's the fun part of this. One thing I will mention, though, is a lot of people in their Bowsette pictures, the one key thing I felt like they were missing was just the fact that they had the eyes stay as gray. Well, not gray, but blue, whereas Peachette's eyes are actually not blue. They're actually gray. So I decided to change Bowsette's eyes into red instead of keeping them blue. Now, you might be like, okay, well, Spins, why didn't you just use your general Peach model? It's already fairly different from how Peach is, even in structure alone. Well, I didn't want to just put a outfit on, you know, I felt like that would be a little bland, but I did use the proportions and all that kind of idea for this. I did change the hair a little bit to a different color, and because I had that reference, I made a few mistakes with the hair and some clothing that is just a little bit off, so hopefully that's not too off-putting. And she also has horns, so I didn't put the horns for, I didn't put those hair pieces so that I could put the horns on the sides for way later. One thing you'll be seeing besides with the Lowland Scyther thing is that you're going to be seeing me swapping back and forth from layers constantly. And I'm doing this to make sure that I have everything correct, but I did forget to wear my glasses, so not everything is as pristine as I would like. But because this is basically a fan art of a fan art, which is of a interesting Mario mechanic, I'm not really too worried about, oh, excuse me, about how it necessarily turned out in a certain way. Like, I wasn't worried about doing any shading or anything, just because it is a fan art. But I did at least want to make sure that, like, the hair, you could see the different pieces, and something that I would be proud of. Now, if you don't know, the regular Peach art that I did is actually one of my favorites. And the reason for that is I really liked how the art style went. I really liked the proportions and just how different it was from all the other Peaches, in my opinion. And oh, excuse me again. But just basically how it looked. So that's another thing that pushed me into doing this, other than this whole giant trend thing. Another thing you'll see me doing is that a lot of people, they've been doing the ponytail thing. And I don't know why, but I really, really like ponytails. So whenever I have the chance in art, even if it's like a long hair thing, like Peach, I put a ponytail. Did it need a ponytail? No, but I wanted to put a ponytail because I thought it would be cute. So I kind of more did a shorter ponytail-haired look. I kind of played around with it, but then I was like, actually, I do like this. At first, I was a little bit wonky on if I did or not, but through looking at it, I did find out that I did, and then adding the horn, I was like, yeah, this will work. And it looks nice. So another thing that I made sure to do, instead of just giving the natural Fire Peach ponytail, was basically, for the back, incorporating Bowser's hairstyle, because I haven't seen anybody doing that. And there are people that probably have done that. I've now seen other characters going around. I've seen Isabelle with the super crown. I've seen King Boo with the super crown. And oh my gosh, that one looked so good. I've seen Yoshi, which was one of those things that I thought of doing, but I wanted to do Peach at first. And originally I wasn't going to do this, but my friends didn't end up coming over. So I figured I would do this, and it took 3 hours despite having stuff previously. But I don't do art enough. So I really also did it for that reason, because practice is always a good thing. Making sure that you can do that. And I've never done anything in this style either, to where I take a model and I basically recreate it almost fit to fit, because even the pose is very similar. But Peach's pose for this is more of like a cute, sassy kind of thing, as you can see with the hand on the hip. And I didn't feel like that fit. So I did actually keep the one arm. The left arm I actually kept like that, but then I changed the hand. And then I went and I changed the whole entire position of the right arm. And actually, like, a lot of people on the internet, either a lot of people think that Peachette is, or not Peachette, I keep saying Peachette, Bowsette, they either think that she's really cute, they're really tired of her, or they just don't like her at all and don't think that she's cute. Honestly, in my opinion, it's okay to be wrong. I'm kidding. Everybody is obviously able to have their opinion and all that. If you think she's not cute, that's fine. But there is a lot of people that are posting inappropriate versions of the character, which is kind of strange, because in reality it is Bowser. The only reason you're seeing a unclothed Peach model is just because I want to make sure that the clothes fit and stuff. But I did actually put, you know, the collars and stuff on, and I did that one before I did any of the other clothes. Now, one thing you might have also noticed is that I am changing proportions, and you'll notice that a little bit further as well, because I did just say that that's one thing that I felt I needed to do. And generally in the art, a lot of the Bowsette artworks, the proportions of just the body in general is bigger because it's based on Bowser. So I had that in mind, but I also had in mind for the waistline, I gave it slightly a more hourglass figure, but like bigger on the top half and then the bigger legs and stuff. And honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. I was a little worried, since usually I pay very close attention to detail with proportions recently, but I really didn't as much. And I also made the legs bigger because I tend to make the legs always too small, and then it looks funny sometimes. So making them bigger was actually a good thing on this, and it actually made it look more natural. Granted, on this artwork, you're not going to see the whole entire dress idea, but on the regular Peach art, if you go and look at that, you're actually going to see that the dress is pretty much covering the legs anyway, so you're not going to see that. There's also another thing of, she's actually shorter. I made her slightly shorter. I don't think in the art she's short, and obviously this isn't a canon thing, which is why I'm more fine with Bowsette, and I'll get to that topic, because I haven't gotten to that topic at all, about why I'm okay more so with Bowsette than Peachette, but I made the feet a little higher, was basically all I was saying. Now, for this whole idea, okay, so first off, Pink Gold Peach, even though it has nothing to do with this topic, Pink Gold Peach is stupid. It's ridiculous. But if a fan made it, then it would be a little more like, okay, well, it's ridiculous and it's pointless. But sure, you know what? It's kind of cool, kind of funny, whatever. But it's official Nintendo canon. And the reason why I'm not a fan of Peachette is because of two reasons. First of all, and I'm gonna say this honestly. First of all, when it comes to Peachette, going from Peach to Toadette, they both have pink. Or Toadette to Peach, I mean. They both have very similar color palettes, so there's not much you could do. And it's not very big of a change design. You basically gave her a slightly different dress that was less detailed, and then you gave her braids, and then all of these abilities on top of that. And while that's great, it really didn't give that sense of being cool and different. But when you look at Bowsette versus Peach, the color scheme is different. You have different proportions on the character. You have different assets such as the tail. You have the horns. You have all of these different things that Peachette just doesn't have. And my second point is that for Peachette, she's actually canon. Which, I'll say this, if Bowsette was canon, I would be a little less susceptible to it. I wouldn't like it as much because it would be weird, and honestly, Nintendo really doesn't care about canon lore and physics and all that. They want to make games that are fun, and that's respectable. That's actually a really good mentality to have. But for Peachette's case, it's something that is canon, just even though Pink Gold Peach, yes, is from a side game, it's technically a canon character. Even though it is from a side game, it is now actually official Nintendo. And when I'm saying canon, that's mostly what I'm meaning, is that it's directly from Nintendo. Which, I'm not going to lie, the idea of it's cool, but it's weird. And I'd be saying that for any character. Because Bowsette is Bowser into Peach. That's very weird, especially when you have the idea of then you're shipping Mario with Bowsette, because it's still Bowser with a power-up. And now you're being like, okay, well now because Bowser looks like Peach, they're attracted to each other, and then Bowser's always been attracted to Mario. Like, that's the logic, and I think that's kind of why people find it strange. But it's more so the design that I'm liking, not as much the concept. But I'll also get to the concept as well. And Bowsette it's a joke. It's not meant to be taken seriously. But then Peachette is. And I'm not saying I'm okay with one but not the other. I'm just explaining why I more prefer one over the other in that kind of a concept. If that makes sense. And I hope that makes sense. But my train of thought is kind of going all over the place just because of how fast this is going. Another thing that I should mention about the art as well, that I went a different direction, is because I didn't know if I was going to try to do other things like Dry Bowser as, this kind of an idea. So I wanted to be able to change colors if need be. So I actually made the dress purple instead of black, even though I did keep the black in there most of the times, and then I kept the whole pendant idea like regular Peach has, and yeah, all that stuff. I'm so mad at myself for losing my train of thought. Okay, so this is going to be a really awkward cut from voice to voice, but basically what happened is that the movie maker can't handle the speed of the art video, and it glitched out and couldn't find the files. Good job, movie maker. Yeah, but what I was gonna say before I ended up getting cut off was about, well, okay, I'll just not mention about the one thing I was gonna mention, but the thing that I forgot was that about the whole entire plot relevance. So for Peachette, it's just Toadette being like, oh, hey, look at me, I'm now in this game, and now I'm going to all of a sudden become Princess Peach just because we wanted to have Princess Peach be playable. But for Bowsette, the cool thing about that idea is the fact that you can take that and put that in so many different ways, being like, Bowser puts Peach away and then puts on the Super Crown and tricks Mario into coming to Peach's castle to have cake. And this time he actually has the cake, but then he actually poisons Mario and it goes insane and crazy and bad, and then Mario has a bad time. So one thing that I am going to talk about really quick, though, is the art style for the shell. So the way that happened was I ended up doing a gray granite, and then I went into the art filter and noticed that the glass tile, it was basically to where the glass tile could match that same type of pattern of the shell, not being perfect, but having that kind of concept. So I ended up doing that for the shell, and then I had another layer behind with a darker green to have that same kind of an outline for the parts that were missing and stuff. And then, of course, I added the spikes, and the spikes are pretty cool. I feel like the layering of the spikes went really, really well, and I almost did a few silly layering things. Now, we're about to move on to the tail of this, and I legitimately mean the tail. One thing that I really find funny is that the tail actually, me adding this was a very last minute thing, because I seriously almost did not add this tail. I was extremely close to not adding it, but then I realized I should probably do the tail, because looking at the artworks, the tail is in the original, so I did want to keep it at least consistent to the original fan art. I also did something similar to the tail with the texturing. I did cubish, and then I did the same thing, like only small cubish though. And then I put the layer behind. Okay, hang on a second, guys. I'm gonna need a moment. Sorry about that. There was another lag thing. I was just going to mention about how the shoes are actually different from the original shoes, which, I mean, they're just black. So I did the whole entire shell thing, because the shell aesthetic isn't really used that much in Bowser in general, but also on the art. But for the spikes, I only did it on the front of the shoes, because I had been doing this for so long that I didn't want to make the shoes completely spiky, and I felt like it was okay. And for the, if you're wondering about the gray straps, I just added those for variety, but also because I felt it looked better, because I just didn't want to have it be weird. I also realized just now that I did actually forget a detail, but it's a small detail, and honestly, I feel like for my art style, it doesn't really matter. But then certain people might be like, oh my gosh, you missed this little detail that to us is very important. But again, I feel like it will be fine, because we're now moving on to the smile, which is the best part of this art. I didn't think that I would like the smile as much, especially because as I'm moving the positioning around, I could not stand how it looked. But I'm telling you, when I, like, even with the tongue in there, I was like, no, I'm not having it. And even when I was placing, I placed razor sharp teeth on this because it's Bowser. And doing that was my best thing I could have possibly done because it just looks great, and you guys will see. The video is about to end and give all the stuff, so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.